What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match preview stream. We play Luton at Kenilworth Road tomorrow, 12:30 kickoff. So Spurs do kick off the weekend action just before the international break. And if we win, we go top of the league until the very earliest or latest, whichever way you want to look at it. Arsenal against Manchester City at 4:30 kickoff on Sunday. So we could be spending over 24 hours at top of the league if we win tonight.
Wouldn't mind a couple of weeks top of the league. It'll definitely make the international break go a lot smoother. I can just sit there and look at the table for 2 weeks. That'll be all right.
Yeah, it'll be absolutely fantastic. But look, before we get into the match preview, please do go check out our brand new website. Link is in the description below. But as you can see, it's on screen right now, WeAreTottenhamTV.co.uk, where you get your latest blog posts every single day going up on there. And we've also got brand new merch going up all the time on there as well. So please do go and check that out. But let's get into the match preview. You're looking at the form of the two teams coming into it. I mean, complete polar opposites of form pretty much. Luton just about got their first win last time out against Everton, which was a result that I was surprised about because I thought Everton going into that game, especially on the back of a win against Brentford, they would be licking their lips, to be honest, to face Luton, especially at home. But Luton dug deep. They got the win. Spurs, on the other hand, obviously have had a very good start to the season, scoring 12 goals, conceding 7 in the last 5, where Luton have scored 4, letting in 5. But
so Luton have a better defence over the past 5 games than we do.
Well, they've conceded less goals, put it that way. But I think, obviously, Spurs are the massive favourites going into this game. But the way you kind of assess Luton is that they've had a shocking start to the season, but they have progressively been getting slightly better as the weeks have progressed. And maybe they have given themselves a bit of a fighting chance, because I think the narrative has been after the first 3 or 4 games anyway that they're kind of sleepwalking to relegation. They're going to beat Derby's record of the worst ever kind of Premier League side. Do you still feel that way?
Well, look, they have 4 points after 7 games still. They're actually not in the relegation zone at the moment. So it goes to show maybe that the teams at the bottom, there's a severe lack of quality at the moment in those teams. But when I look at Luton, I do see a team devoid of a lot of quality, especially in the forward line. I think Morris is doing a great job by himself at the moment.
He's such a good physical presence, isn't he?
He's like he's like a modern day
Kevin Davis.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly. I think that's a perfect analogy. So someone who's a bit of a battering ram. He's got a bit of quality. You saw that with the goal he scored against Everton, a really nicely struck volley. So he's definitely a threat. But can they beat Derby's record? I'm looking at them and I still think they can, to be honest, because Derby picked up another 7 points from this stage. So they ended the season with 11 points. Luton currently on 4. But to be fair to them, I've got to give them a bit of credit, because at the start of the season, it did look like they're literally going to lose every game. And it looked like it was going to be a very long season for them. And they have definitely been progressing week on week and starting to get results, and the performances have started to improve as well. They got a 1-1 draw against 10-man Wolves the other week at home in what was a very good performance. They were very unlucky to lose 1-0 at Craven Cottage, where I thought they should have probably won that game, let alone lost that game. And so they'll be kicking themselves they didn't get any points out of that. They obviously beat Everton away from home as well, which isn't an easy feat. And especially, they got the goals from set pieces and defended very well. Everton in that second half really didn't have too many chances. So that's credit to how Luton defended in that game. And on Tuesday night, they lost at home to Burnley, but Burnley needed a 94th minute winner to win that game. And by all accounts, Luton were well worth a draw in that game as well. So they have definitely been improving, and their performances and results have definitely, you got to pay attention to that, because I don't think it's going to be maybe the easy ride a lot of people think it is. I think it is going to be a tough game. They do like to play a back 3 system, which is the system we struggled against when we played Sheffield United a few weeks back. So we got to be very careful that we just don't give them any encouragement going forward, and we control the game. We play our possession game, and we could dominate possession like we will, but we can't give them any encouragement, any silly set pieces, any counter-attacks. Just got to make sure to stop it at source, whether it be tactical fouls or just controlling the game with possession. We just got to be a bit careful, because if we let them take the lead and give them encouragement with that home fan crowd behind them, things could turn very difficult very quickly if we're not careful. But I'm sure with the way we're playing, the quality we got, we should be able to. Look, obviously we have enough to get into over the line in this game. We know that, but it's all about how we go into this game. We start the season so well. I just hope the players are focused on the task at hand and don't get too ahead of themselves, think this game was won before we get there.
Yeah. If you bring up the lineup that we've got for them, obviously they've got some big injuries coming into this. Ross Barkley, Lokonga, Potts, Osho and Clark, and especially like Lokonga and Barkley and even Potts to a certain extent have all got Premier League experience. Lokonga not so much with Arsenal, but he did play a couple of games. Potts with West Ham.
Played for Palace as well.
That's true, and Palace last season. Ross Barkley obviously has been a seasoned pro in the Premier League. Without these kind of players, they do have their captain in Lockyer. I don't think he's got too much quality about him. I have been...
Scored at Everton.
I know that, but I mean, in terms of where the quality is, they've got Marvelous Nakamba in the middle of the park, who I think he's a fairly good player. Adebayo, I think most of their attacks, they try go through him down the right-hand side, getting crosses in the box for Carlton Morris. But do you think it's a case of kind of like block those crosses, don't let them get crosses in the box, and that kind of essentially diminishes the most of the attacking threat that they do have?
Pretty much. I think pretty much all their goals this season have come from either a set piece or a cross into the box. And that's their main source of goals. And if you stop Morris, you pretty much stop Luton. That's been the story of the season. So I think they're very physical with set pieces. The fact that they can bully a team like Everton from set pieces, which they did in that first half at Goodison Park, shows the threat they can be. And they're very clever. They've got a few set piece routines, and they're very smart about how they go about their set pieces. And they're very physical as well. And that set pieces is something that I think we have improved on during the season, but definitely in pre-season, that was a big element of worry. And maybe at the start of the season as well, you're thinking set pieces is something that we're going to have to work on. So you just got to make sure you're limiting the amount of corners you're giving away, not making any silly fouls in and around the penalty area, limit their ability to get players forward and whip those crosses in. Because I think obviously they know that they're going to spend a large amount of the game in their own half, defending in a deep block with that back three, which is pretty much going to be a back five. With a lot of wing back systems, the wing backs are more like wingers, but these wing backs are definitely more like fullbacks than they are wingers. So it's pretty much going to be a back five with I think most of the time it's like a 5-3-2. I think they play Adebayo and Morris up front together. He scored a nice goal, to be fair, in midweek. Adebayo, really nice turn and finish inside the box, but and they should have had a penalty as well. So they can be a threat if you give them the opportunity. But again, it all comes through Morris. Because his hold-up play is exceptional. He's really good in the air, and he's actually got a decent finish on him if you give him the opportunity, like he showed at Goodison Park. So as long as we restrict those opportunities, if we don't allow them to go direct into Morris, that's going to be a big part of their attack nullified, and as well with set pieces. So as long as we can keep doing that, we should be okay. But they're going to set up traps to try win set pieces. When Morris picks up the ball, he's going to be trying to earn fouls in our half and in our third, and trying to give opportunities to Luton to bring the centre backs forward, all those sort of things. So we definitely got to be careful of that. But if we stop Morris in open play, I think you pretty much stop Luton.
When you're looking at that matchup, obviously Morris, like you say, has been central to them. He's been their best player by far. 3 goals and 1 assist so far this season in 7 appearances is actually really impressive.
I think 2 penalties
for Morris. Yeah, but still, you've still got to score them. And for a team like Luton, you need to just grab everything that you can, essentially. Marvelous Nakamba, like I said, I've been fairly impressed with him in the middle of the park. But when you're looking at the matchups on the pitch, especially with Morris, like he's probably going to be coming up against the most physical centre-back that he's come up against all season in Coutinho Romero. And how do you envisage that kind of matchup going?
I'm not worried about Romero, actually. I'm actually, in a weird way, more worried about Van de Ven, because Ollie McBurney gave Van de Ven a real torrid time when we played Sheffield United. And whenever they got the ball up to McBurney, more often than not, McBurney was winning it in the air. And that Van de Ven is a very tall player, and he's strong. But aerially, I'm not saying he's suspect, but he's not amazing when it comes to winning aerial duels. He's lost quite a few, especially in that game. Specifically in that game, I think most other games, he hasn't been maybe tested aerially as much. Most other teams like to play on the ground, like when we played Bournemouth, when we played Burnley, Arsenal and Man United, all these other teams, they didn't really have physical presence up front where they can just lump the ball forward. But that was exactly the plan for Sheffield United. Lump the ball to McBurney, get him to do flick-ons and see if they can get anything out of those situations. And they didn't really get much joy from his flick-ons, but they definitely did get joy from McBurney. He was winning a lot of headers out of Van de Ven. So I think Luton would have studied played that. I would have seen that Van de Ven maybe, I wouldn't say he's a liability aerially, but he's definitely someone where they can get some joy out of. And that's definitely a situation we got to be careful of with that. I think Romero will be very physical up against him and won't let him have the joy that Van de Ven might. Not let him have, but he could get out of Van de Ven. So I'd be less worried about Romero. I think Romero can deal with it, but I think Van de Ven has proven that that's something that is a bit of a weakness.
Yeah, and we know what they're going to do. We know that they're going to be lumping balls up top to Morris for him to get the flick-ons and to hold up the ball and get the ball into wide areas and try and get crosses into the box. So I kind of feel like if we can like press high up the pitch and really make life hard for them out on the flanks and in the middle of the park where they're trying to pump those balls long, then we should essentially just diminish their threat that they bring, and then the quality should shine through.
Yeah. 100%, but you just got to be careful. Like if they have a good start to the game, they get a bit of encouragement early on that can change the momentum of the game. I think we just got to make sure first early doors in the game, first 10-15 minutes, you quieten the crowd, you dominate possession, you even pass it around the back for a few minutes, just really make them run around a bit and just show that you have the quality to keep possession away from them. Maybe the crowd starts to quieten down a bit, maybe they lose a bit of but maybe they don't gain that encouragement, and then then we can take control of the game and show our quality. But I think they are going to be very physical against us. It's a very big game for them. It's probably their biggest game of the season so far. I think it's the first time they're going to play a top 6 team at home, because they played West Ham, didn't they?
They played Chelsea, yeah.
Away from home. I'm saying at home, first top 6 game at home, I think.
Didn't they play Chelsea at Kenilworth Road?
No, it was Stamford Bridge.
Was it? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Stamford Bridge. So I think it's the first time they're playing at home against a top 6 team. So I think the crowd will be well up for it. So we just got to make sure we quieten them and then show what we're about. But the problem is, Kenilworth Road is a small pitch. So they're already playing a back 5, and that's going to restrict the space in the centre and out wide as well. So it's going to be very difficult for us to play through the lines. Hopefully we can get an early goal and open up the game a bit. And if we can do that, it can become a different game. But as long as Luton are hanging in there and they don't concede, they get to half-time 0-0 or something, that'll just give them encouragement. So we need to make sure in that first half, we not put the game to bed, but get an early goal, show your quality, and show that you're asserting yourself on the game.
I do kind of feel like if we do go and get that early goal, though, it could be quite a large scoreline in this game. But the longer it goes on 0-0, obviously, the more tough it's going to get. In terms of like the selection headaches for Spurs, I mean, there really isn't much, to be honest, is there?
No, obviously we know that Solomon's out, Perisic is out, Brennan Johnson's out, so it doesn't really leave too much to the imagination when it comes to who's going to play. The only really selection to think about is, considering how Luton played, you just go for Richarlison in the middle and Son on the left, because he said Son's available to play. So is that a case? Because do you want Richarlison more in those positions where he's able to get headers in on goal and things like that, be a bit more of a physical presence in the box? I am a bit worried that if Son starts centrally, will he just be a bit anonymous? Will he get involved in the game? But it's a difficult one. Richarlison did play well, though, out on the left against Liverpool. And Son obviously got a goal still. So is it something you're just going to look to continue and just maybe mid-game, if it's not working, then you change it? I think that's probably the way he's going to go. But in terms of the other positions, Malison's fit. The back 5, all fit. So that can't be changed. There's no real selection headaches to be had.
And like, do you think like there's even a chance for Alejo Veliz in this game? Maybe not to start, but to come on and get significant minutes if things aren't going well, because he provides that different option that we don't have, that maybe a Richarlison or Son doesn't give us.
Yeah, I think if we're chasing a goal, you could definitely put a second player up front and go 4-4-2. And try and really force the issue, get a couple of strikers on, 2 strikers who've got aerial ability. I think that's what he was trying to do against Liverpool, but obviously Veliz didn't have enough time in that game. And I think he did that because he saw they've got Konate, they've got Van Dijk, they had Matip, 3 aerial threats, and you're going to have to combat that with some aerial threat of your own.
You just never got him in there and never flooded crosses into the box.
Yeah, I mean, he came on just before stoppage time, didn't he? So he probably had 6 minutes or so.
To be fair, though, if Matip doesn't touch that, it probably goes all the way through to Veliz, and he probably knocks it in. Yeah,
exactly. So that sub might have counted in the end if Matip doesn't get that own goal. But I think Veliz can definitely be a big threat in this game. I think out wide, does Bryan Hill maybe get a chance off the bench as well if we need a bit of trickery? Because I'm looking at the wingers. I think Kulusevski could be all right in this game, but I'm looking on the left-hand side, whether it be Richarlison or Son, I can see it being very difficult for whoever's on the left to really get a lot of joy out of a back five system. Whereas I feel like Bryan Hill in that position, he might be a bit more nimble in the tight spaces than Richarlison and Son, and we might need that bit of guile in this game to pick the lock. So I feel like Bryan Hill can definitely be an option on that left-hand side.
Obviously, like, we've got a lot more quality than Luton have to bring to this game, and if you're playing this game on paper, Spurs probably win this 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10. But when you're looking at the setups that we've struggled against this season, you're looking at the Sheffield United game, we struggled until the last minutes of the game. The Liverpool game, when they put 9 men behind the ball, we struggled against their low block. Is that the thing that's concerning you coming into this?
100%. It's going to be a challenge. We know that they're going to set up to frustrate. A draw is a very good result for them in this situation. So I'm sure that if you get to the last 20 minutes or so and they're still drawing, they're going to try and hang on for that result. They're not going to go for the win. So it's going to be very difficult to break down. And not only that, they're at home in a very big game for them. So they're going to be they're going to have their lives on the line. For example, the goal the goal Liverpool scored against us last week, where Van de Ven and Bissouma, they're not putting their body on the line for that goal. They allowed Gakpo to turn and shoot, and no one's really throwing their body at it. That's not going to be the case for Luton. You saw how Sheffield United defended against us. Every time we got near the box, they're throwing their bodies in front of everything, and they're literally putting their life on the lines to try and stop a goal. That's what I'm expecting from Luton on Saturday. And that's what's going to make it very, very difficult for us. And that's where our quality needs to shine through. If they're defending like that, we got to make sure our passes and our shooting is as precise as possible, and we break the deadlock as soon as possible. And that's where maybe mistakes can creep in. But I feel like they're going to be defending very resolutely. It's going to be a very tough battle to try and break through that back line. And I'm not concerned about it, because I think we have the quality to do it, and especially Maddison being fit, he's going to be a key player picking that lock. If I'm choosing one player who's probably the most important in this specific game, I am probably going for James Maddison, because his ability in and around the penalty area to find a pass, to open up a defence, is crucial in this kind of game. So we need him to be on his A game. But I think Luton, it's going to be I can see it being a bit of a struggle in parts in this game to break them down and then frustrating us, unless we can get that early goal, open up the game a bit, and then I think you'll see a few more mistakes from Luton.
Yeah, the problem is that Spurs have been notoriously like slow starters to games this season. That's a big issue, and we need to kind of come out of the traps quick in this game and kind of not take them by surprise, but just put the pressure on them from early on and start pressing them high up the pitch and really like start forcing them into mistakes, because we've got the quality to do that. We've got the physicality to do that as well in the midfield with the likes of Maddison and Bissouma and Pape Matar as well. So I think if we do that and do get that early goal, like I said before, I do think it can be quite a convincing scoreline. I just hope that we don't have a slow start like we have done most games this season.
Yeah, when I look at, like, say, the Sheffield United game, when you have that the first half we had, I wouldn't say we had a bad first half, but obviously we did struggle to create really good quality chances. But what we did do, which I think we should be doing against teams in low block, is like Son was having shots from 25 yards and forcing saves out of the keeper. So was Maddison. So was Sarr. When we got near the box and we saw an opening in and around the 25-yard area, we were taking attempts and we were very close to getting the goals. And in those kind of instances, if they go against you and the keeper is making good saves, then all of a sudden it becomes harder. But if one of them can go in early and we can get one of them to go in the back of the net, then all of a sudden it tells the opposition, okay, you can't let us shoot from 25 yards, and then they have to change their tactic. So I think that is the right approach, but you just have to make sure that you've got the quality to make it pay in those situations. And I think against Sheffield United, we were a bit unlucky because the keeper made a few really good saves in that first half from range, and we weren't able to really break through get shots off inside the box. But if we can do the same thing against Luton and one of them comes off, I think all of a sudden it changes the game plan for Luton, because their game plan is going to be simple and it's going to be to frustrate us. But if we can get that moment of quality early on, but that what separates the big teams and the best players from not, because the best players in those instances, one of those moments of quality will come off. They will get a shot from outside the box, and one of them will fly into the top corner or something like that, and that's what can open up the game. You see it so often with like Man City. There'll be like a game where it's a bit of a stalemate, even against a lesser team, and then just a moment of quality, someone will pick up the ball from 25 and bag it in the top corner, and then all of a sudden the game has to open up. So I think that's sometimes what it takes to open up these kind of games.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely spot on. But we need to be kind of, first of all, stamping our authority on the game, because we have that authority coming into this game, and also riding that wave of momentum that we're on at the moment. You know, it's understated the way that the end of that Sheffield United game, the draw at the Emirates, and also that last minute win against Liverpool, how much that can kind of put you on a wave of momentum and really get good feeling seeping through the team. And I wouldn't say like thinking they're unbeatable, but you have that kind of air of constantly winning and winning at all costs. And if we can take that into the start of this game and start really well, I have no doubt that we go and win this game comfortably. Yeah,
it just builds belief and builds confidence throughout the camp. And I think how many times have we seen in years gone by, even like last season, or I remember under Mourinho, right? We went top of the league because we beat Man City and we beat Arsenal in consecutive home games. We go top, and then we are just literally just after that run, you're thinking, okay, surely we're going to be as confident as ever now. We've just beaten two of the best teams, and we're now going to go on a run. I think we like won one of our next 5 games after that. We let it slip. We didn't build off of that. So I think it's going to be a big test. I think it's going to be more of a test mentally than it is about our quality or anything tomorrow, because I think Tottenham in years gone by, they'll have an opportunity to do something like this, like to go top of the league or something like that, and they won't take it. They'll think the game was won before they've turned up. Mentally, they won't be on top of their game. So I think if we can have and that's what Ange was saying in his pre-match press conference. He said he's more, yes, results can come and not, but he's more worried about the performance level that he's going to show in this game, rather than, obviously he wants to win, of course, but he's more worried about, are the players going to be showing the levels that they've been showing this season? Are they going to be mentally focused on the game? Because otherwise, doesn't matter what the result is, he doesn't want to be focusing on a poor performance for the next 2 weeks. He wants to be focusing on something to build on a performance to show that the team is going to be there week in, week out, playing at their best all the time. So I think that is very, very crucial going into this game. That I think it's more of a mentality thing. It's more of a mental thing for me going into this game, of whether Spurs can show the fight that Luton show. If we can match their work ethic and their fight that they're obviously going to give in this game, we'll win it comfortably, in my opinion.
But I think that's been Spurs' X factor pretty much all season, is that we've outfought pretty much, maybe, I don't know about Liverpool, but I think we've outfought pretty much everyone else that we've played this season. And that's kind of been our, I don't know the word here, but it's like our ethos coming into the season. That's what Ange Postecoglou teams, they outwork, they outrun, and they outfight the opponents that they're playing. And I think that's what you're seeing in a Spurs shirt so far this season. And so if we can carry on that mentality that we have shown all season, I do think we win this game comfortably, to be honest. And do you learn much? Do you learn a lot if Spurs go and take these 3 points quite easily?
Obviously, you can't say you don't learn too much about how good the team is, but you definitely learn a lot about mentality of the team, 100%. Especially if we win it comfortably, or even if it's a case of we're camped in their half for 90 minutes and we get a last-minute goal again. I think again you'll learn a lot about the mentality of the team. They keep going till the very last minute, and I think you can learn a lot from these games, because it's all well and good people saying, oh, they should win these games, but if everyone won the game they should be, there'll be a 10-team title race every season, wouldn't there? Because teams obviously drop points against teams they should, and that's what makes the Premier League the league that it is. So I think even if you are beating teams that you should be, that's a sign of a good team, in my opinion, when you're getting over the line and winning comfortably, even against teams that you're expected to. And it's all about getting the job done and putting the performance of the quality of the team. You see teams like Man United or even Chelsea, they're not always winning the games they should be, because there are problems there. So I think as much as you can't really go overboard just because we beat Luton, but you definitely can learn things about the mentality of the team and the togetherness. 100% you can.
In terms of looking at the Spurs team going into this game, who do you think are the most important players for Spurs on the pitch if we're definitely going to go and win this game?
In this one, definitely Maddison. I think he's probably the most important 100%. One for this game. Like, I wouldn't say that for every game. I thought against Arsenal was Basuma. I went into that game thinking it's Basuma, and even against Liverpool, I'd probably said the same thing. But this one is definitely Maddison. We just need to feed him as much as possible in and around the penalty area. Literally, whenever he's free, whenever we can see he's available, you just give the ball to him and see if he can perform some magic, because if anyone's going to pick the lock, if anyone's going to put the ball in the net from 25 yards, if anyone's going to start a little 1-2s in around the penalty area and start a footballing move, it's going to be him out of anyone. So I think James Maddison's 100% the most crucial player in this game. And then if I'm looking at other players, I think Pedro Porro could have a very big part to play on the right-hand side because we know his quality of delivery and his ability as well to maybe get a shot off from 25 yards could be crucial. And then the wide players is how much they can get joy out of their fullbacks and get into the penalty area. I think we've seen Kulusevski's ability to progressively carry the ball into the penalty area and cause problems in the opposition defence. And I think if he can do that in this game, that's going to be a really useful asset against a deep-lying defence, in my opinion. And actually, one of his best games this season was the Sheffield United game where they were sitting very deep, but he was causing a lot of trouble because whenever he got the ball, he didn't necessarily have to beat anyone, but he kept carrying the ball into the penalty area, and that was causing a lot of problems for Sheffield United, and obviously ended up getting the goal in the end as well. So I think Maddison and I think Kulusevski is probably going to be the most crucial players in this game. And I envisage Sonny, unless he's going to pick the ball up from deep and maybe whip one in from outside the box, or maybe if he somehow finds a little bit of space in the box, because he can do that. We saw it against Arsenal, saw it against Liverpool, even against packed defences. He's starting to find little pieces of space that he can just make use of and get one-time finishes off. So if he is able to do that, then he's going to be crucial. But I do expect him to have a bit of trouble.
But that's the thing with Sonny. I'm not too bothered about him like being fully involved in the game throughout the 90 minutes and trying to pick up the ball and driving run forward. I just want him to stick around the 6-yard box, inside the box, feed off those balls from Kulusevski, feed off those balls from Maddison and Richarlison as well. And just be there, exactly, and just be there to finish off the ball like he's been doing all season pretty much. Like that goal against Arsenal, right? When Maddison pulls it back to him, he's got 3 of top defenders around him, and he finds that little space and just finds the far corner of the net. That's all we need from Sonny at the end of the day. He's got probably the best finisher in the league right now with the amount of chances, and he's getting to the amount of chances he's scoring. So I'm not too bothered about him being involved in all facets of the game. I just want him there to finish off the chances, and I think he'll be there to do that.
And one thing I think we have lacked a bit this season, which I think we should be much more on top of, is when we have a long shot and maybe the keeper parries it back into the dangers area, that we don't have enough players following up on that. And I wouldn't be surprised, maybe you can go back to stuff, I wouldn't be surprised in this game, that's where we get one of our goals. We get a long shot, the keeper isn't able to hang on to it, and there's a player quickest to react to nod it home, because I feel like we've got we have the structure to do that, because a lot of the time we have the 2 midfielders in the box a lot of trying to follow up on things. Son can be a bit of a poacher as well. Richarlison as well, he can sniff out those goals. That's what he's definitely good at, and I think that's definitely something we need to work on, being very quick to react when things happen in the box, because a lot of the time I feel like we're not doing that. When we don't, a lot of the time the defenders are reacting quicker. So hopefully this can be an occasion where if we are taking a lot of pot shots to try and open up the game, we can be quickest to react on the rebound.
In terms of Maddison, I know we are kind of like very much reliant on a lot of players, and if they get injured, then we're pretty much screwed in certain positions. But in terms of specifically James Maddison, are you worried about the chance creation in the team, like if he goes injured? Because if he's out, I just can't see us being anywhere near the same team as opposed to him in it.
Yes and no.
I think we're so over-reliant on him.
Yes and no. I think in these games, I would say yes. I would say we need a bit of magic from Maddison in this game to open up, because I think in these games, a lot of the time, when you're playing against a low block team, it's very difficult just from the structure of how you're playing to open them up unless the football's very quick and you're on point with how you're passing it around. It's going to be, you need that little bit of magic, you need that little bit of spark to open up the game sometimes. I feel like when the games are a little more open, I think our structure can create us more chances in those kind of scenarios. You won't necessarily have to be reliant on a Maddison having that magic, albeit him being there will improve the structure. I think I think we can score goals. Obviously, maybe not at the rate that we are doing, but I think we can get goals in other games, even without Maddison, just with other players in there, just with where the players are positioned on the pitch, where the passes are going, and things like that. But in these kind of games, we definitely need a James Maddison.
Well, that's a good point from Paul Abraham in the comments, actually. Like, because if Maddison does out for a game or two, whatever it may be, would you like to see Kulu move into that 8? Because I would love to see that.
Especially if Lo Celso's not ready, I would look, because I think we've got Brennan Johnson there on the right. We've got Brian Hill, who could be an option as well. We could even play a front three of Hill, Richarlison and Son up top as well. So if that need be. So I think if Maddison is injured, I would like to see Kulusevski in that role. 100%. Why not?
All right, well, let's go on to the score predictions. What are you going for? You sticking with your 1-0?
I said 1-0. I'm glad that with the team news, so hopefully we'll have a fully fit team, pretty much unchanged from Liverpool, but I'm going to stick with 1-0 because I think it is going to be difficult to break them down. I envisage it's going to be I can see it being one of those games where it's difficult to break them down and we get a goal maybe in the second half and win the game. I do think our quality will shine through in the end, but I do envisage Luton making it very difficult for us, so I'm going to go 1-0.
Do you think that's going to be like a late goal?
Not necessarily a 90th minute one, but maybe like 20 minutes to go or something.
So you do expect, like, even if we score with 20 minutes to go, Luton are going to have to come out and start playing and start trying to really attack us. So I think even if we score with 20 minutes to go, I still think we'll get another one because I think there will be spaces there. So I think the only way we do win 1-0 is if it's 1-0 right until the wire and then we score in like the last minute kind of thing. My prediction, I'm going for 3-0 to Spurs. I do think we're going to get that early goal. I think we're going to come out of the traps quite fast, and I think it'll be a clear instruction from Ange, just try and get that goal as soon as possible because it would open up the game for us completely and we can really go on and be very dominant in the game. So I'm going to go 3-0, and my scorers for the weekend are going to be Decky's going to get 1, Son's going to get 2. Who's your scorer?
I'm going to go for Richarlison.
Rishi, like that. All right. Well, that is our match preview. Let me know your score predictions in the comments section.